I'm Fernanda Almeida here in Key West for the 2007 World Championship races here with Paul Fiore of Outerlimits Powerboats. How are you doing?
Okay, how are you doing?
Good. Let's start with Outerlimits. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, Outerlimits, we build high-performance pleasure boats, a few race boats here and there, a lot of poker run boats. We build from a 39-foot GTX all the way up to a big 51-foot sport yacht.
Now, Paul, can you tell me a little bit of how did you get started in this business?
Well, I got started in the business many, many years ago. I don't want to talk about it. With another boat company that my family started. And about almost 15 years ago, Michael went out on his own and started Outerlimits. He wanted to build the best offshore boat in the world. He didn't care what it had to cost. He just felt that if I build the best thing out there, there's going to be a market for it, just like there is for Ferrari.
Paul, I understand this is a family-run business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it is. My son actually runs the company. His mother, Joyce, does all the interior designs. I handle the sales and some of the design work with Michael. We've been doing that for a long time. We've done more step hull designs in the last 30 years than all the other guys combined.
Now, I understand that Outerlimits is the only performance builder that uses oven-baked epoxy in every boat. Can you explain why that is important?
Yes, I can. We started doing full epoxy layup about 5 or 6 years ago. We determined that we were always building a real bulletproof boat that was big, heavy, performed well. And we were looking for more performance with moderate engines. And the way to do that is to reduce weight. And the only way to reduce weight without building a flimsy boat, you've got to use cord bottoms and sides and decks and exotic materials like they use in the new aircraft. And to do that, typical polyester or vinyl ester resin just isn't up to the task. It's okay with fiberglass, but when you start using carbon fiber and Nomex cores and foam cores, it's just not quite up to the task. So what we do is with epoxy, that resin's got properties that are much stronger than your typical resins used in most boats. It's what they call a tougher resin. It's a little more flexible. You'll never see a stress crack in our boats after you've been running them for 5 years. And the epoxy allows us to do a couple of things. One is we can pick the exotic materials that we want to keep the boat within the weight parameters that we design it for. And the epoxy doesn't cure in 20 minutes, so guys have to rush and get something done. It takes hours to cure. So our technicians have the ability to put the material in an impregnator, it wets it out, comes out in the sheet as long as the boat that they're building, and they lay it down one layer at a time. They put a vacuum bag on to suck out the excess resin, and they do this all throughout the whole build process. And it takes about 6 hours for it to come to we call a normal hard cure. But that's only about 80% of its strength. And there are some other builders that do epoxy boats, and they stop there. What we do at that point is while the boat is still in the mold, we put it in a big oven, and we cook it. It's a 2 or 3 day process depending on the ambient temperature. And the temperature is elevated at like 2 degrees per hour, so it's a very slow increase in temperature. We get it to the set temperature, we leave it there for 12 hours, and we very slowly cool it off. That does a couple things. Now you've got 100% of the design strength of the epoxy resin, and whatever shrinkage is going to have, because that's kind of a result of using epoxy, will happen there while it's in the mold. We then take the boat out of the mold, put the hull and deck together, and now our technicians spend about a week making the boat perfectly straight, because whatever shrinkage and defects happen while it was in that cooking process, they put a blue dye on the whole boat, they go and sand it with long boards, and they blueprint the sides, the deck, the bottom, so every boat is absolutely perfect when it leaves the factory.
Now, Paul, Outerlimits is often seen competing in offshore racing. Tell me a little bit about your victories and how do you keep winning?
Well, we work pretty hard at it. We don't do a lot of racing. We've won several world championships in various classes. What we just did this past year is we decided to go to Europe and race there in their Powerboat P1 circuit, which was a great experience. Kind of tough on the crew. We went over there. We made 6 trips for 12 different races, and being at every one was a drain on all of us. But it was a lot of fun, and we did it to kind of show our product off in Europe, a new market for us. And we were very successful at it. We showed everybody how great the boats run in the rough water. Every rough water race there was, we won. So we were pretty happy about it. And it's all innovative design and just building a boat that won't ever fall apart. That's the biggest thing is to win, you got to finish, and that's kind of what we're pretty good at doing.
Thank you, Paul. We've just heard from Paul Fiore with Outer Limits Powerboats, and I'm Fernanda Almeida here in Key West for the 2007 championship races.